Okay, everyone, I think we can get started. And now, everyone, I'd like to wish you all a very good day. And we're just waiting for everyone to get settled down and join our conversation on the main topic of online payment gateways. Now, before everything, I'd like to thank you all for joining despite your busy schedules. Start of 2022, and I'm sure everybody's up to their neck in work. So really, though, we at Zap really appreciate you guys coming over and joining our show. Now, by the way, my name is Max, and I manage marketing initiatives and events for Zap. Now, this is our very first webinar of 2022, and we're super excited to kick it off this year by sharing this topic with you. Now, in the food and beverage industry, or many industries in general, payment has always been a difficult subject. Many businesses often face the hassle of having to manually deal with and confirm payments for every transaction. Sounds familiar, right? Now, some payments even turn into a long conversation to find the appropriate channel that the customer agrees with. Now, from the customers and the staff, this can make managing the business extra stressful, as I'm sure many can agree with. Now, from the front lines, let's hear from someone who talks to food and beverage merchants daily, who really knows what it's like to hear their woes and helps them solve the challenges. Introducing to you a valued account executive from Zap, Dean Samson. Hi, Dean. Welcome in. Welcome in.
Good afternoon. Thank you for introducing me, Max. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Dean. Starting off, can you give us like a little background about Zap, what we've been doing during the pandemic, and how it's been?
Okay. So for what okay, so for Zap, we do have the Zap e-store. So we started the Zap e-store 2 years ago when the pandemic, of course, started. And then it's basically a service that merchants can avail to become a Zap e-store partner. And then Zap will be able to set up the website inclusive already with payment gateways and other things they would need to make the experience for both the merchants and customers very convenient. So to put it simply, for those who don't know, a payment gateway is a way for customers to pay a merchant's website using a credit card or other digital means. So with my experience with assisting merchants sell online, so it was a challenge at first to introduce the Zap e-store during the start of the pandemic. So there were people or merchants who already set up their own ordering system via social media or online forms. Then you also have those who are available already on on-demand food delivery apps. So it was a challenge initially because we were providing a service relatively new during the start, and we needed to introduce ourselves to these merchants by highlighting the convenience really of setting up and having your own website.com. So there were a lot of apprehensions, especially with merchants who were also new to being in a digital space. So first would be the learning curve or how to make these merchants more tech savvy. So we really had to teach them how to utilize digital platforms. And then second apprehension is how safe and secure websites are. And lastly, the third one would be how effective it is for the customer experience. Like, will the customers like it? Or will the customers accept it? Or will the customers use it? So it was definitely a challenge, but I do believe we have helped a lot of merchants by making the experience of online ordering better for them and also their customers. So it's very fulfilling and satisfying to see that even, the pandemic kitchens, mom and pop stores, small businesses are able to expand and get more sales with our help.
Hey, that's super interesting, and I'm really glad that during this pandemic, it's a super trying time that we can really spread the word and really help all businesses nationwide now.
Yes.
And now we're also talking about manual payments, like merchants were still on manual payments. So can we just elaborate, like what traditional payment gateways or payment methods do they accept?
So there are a lot of traditional payment methods. Usually it's bank transfers and digital wallet transfers. So when customers pay, they would need to send a proof of payment to merchants, and then merchants would need to validate these payments if it really went through, and then they that's when the orders are already fulfilled.
Okay. And since we're on the topic of traditional payments, and you have a lot of experience talking to merchants, do you have any like interesting horror stories you can share with us that that really gave merchants a hard time?
Horror stories. So top of mind, I guess the worst are those who would Photoshop the proof of payment slip and then would send it to the merchant. So of course that will be very tedious and very time consuming for the merchants end because they wouldn't really know if the customer really paid. Sometimes banks don't really are at real time. So that's just a really bad horror story that I'm thinking of top of mind. Yeah. So kawawa si merchant.
Okay, so in addition to what you said earlier about it being a lot slower, hard to verify, so it's also like a security risk.
Yes.
And honestly, for bigger merchants, it must be super hard. Like they process hundreds of orders a day, so it must be hard to verify like which one's real, which one's photoshopped. It must be tough.
Yeah.
Um, on the topic of challenges, since that's a pain point of theirs, what are the like the main pain points, struggles that the merchants you deal with face
Okay.
when it comes
So
to accepting payment?
yeah, so there are a lot of pain points with manual payments. So I've listed down around four pain points, but they're all sort of like related. So the first one would be sending invoices. So for example, a customer orders manually on Facebook or on Instagram direct messages. The merchants would still need to total everything that the customers ordered and then send the invoice to the customers with so and so amount that is needed to be paid. And then alongside that, merchants would also need to send the payment details of their payment details to these customers. Second, waiting payments would be another waiting for payments will be another pain point. So as much as merchants want to fulfill orders right away, customers also have their own things going on. Sometimes they forget to pay, sometimes they take long to send the payments. And then another external factor why it takes so long to pay is sometimes banks or digital wallets would also have their own downtimes, which is something that we cannot control. The third pain point will be validating the payments or validations. So once the customer sends the proof of payment, like a screenshot to them, they also would need to validate. But of course, this doesn't really happen all the time, especially if you're a really big merchant and you have like hundreds of orders every day. And the another thing with validation is that not all banks, as I've mentioned, are real time with reflections of payments. Some of them have cut-offs, some of them have clearing periods, and then some of them just don't parang hindi lang real time. It's not really real time on the accounts on their bank account. So it's just really hard to validate. And last but not the least, there are limited options with manual payments, meaning there are limited options for customers to choose. So, for example, you have a merchant that has a bank account ABC for deposit, but customer only has an account in bank X. So it's inconvenient to the customers because bank to bank sending of payments isn't always real time. And second, there's usually a service fee like 10 pesos to 25 pesos. And then, of course, limited options. So it's also like a turn off for customers to order because they don't really have a way to pay directly with the merchants. There. So far.
Well, most of the ones you're mentioning really seems to be based on time. Like it must
Yes.
really slow the business process down. And since this is mostly the food and beverage sector, right? All customers want their orders on the dot. Some of them want rush orders, and of course, since it's food, everything has to be fresh. So it must really affect the business, honestly.
For sure, for sure. Especially like if you put yourself in the shoes of a merchant, you need to follow up on all of the payments. Instead of you following up, diba, it just takes so much time. And sometimes customers, there's sometimes they just don't pay anymore, and then it's like a canceled order for them. So it's just really time consuming for the merchants.
Okay. Oh, also, you mentioned earlier that some merchants had apprehensions to
Mm-hmm.
accepting online payment gateways during the pandemic. And well, since pandemic hit, everything's been changing. So, what were the usual reservations they had, like towards accepting a better payment gateway?
Yes. So it's already been 2 years since the pandemic started. So usually nowadays they don't really have apprehensions or reservations anymore because online ordering via e-commerce platforms are more widely accepted and are, I guess, more easily available now. You see so many new platforms and new apps coming in and out. So um but there are still like a number of people who would be apprehensive. So some of these they would ask like how easy are these payment gateways to use, and are these even safe and secure? So these questions are valid because they do care about the safety and relationships with their customers. And I am happy to say that because we have a wonderful partner, diba, we are able to give an easy to use and secure Zap eStore payment gateways to our merchants and to their customers.
Thanks so much, Dean. Oh, and speaking of wonderful partners, we have someone very special joining our conversation today. And since we're on topic of payment gateways, let me introduce to you a representative from one of the best payment gateways in Philippines. Now, I'd like to introduce you to someone who's been doing fintech sales for 4 years and is now Paymongo's very own head of sales. May I introduce to you to Sir Josh Lee. Sir Josh, welcome, welcome, and super glad to have you with us, sir.
Hi, thank you, Max, for the introduction. Happy to be here.
Oh, Sir Josh, I take it you have something you would like to share with us today.
Yeah, sure. So I'm happy to do a bit of an introduction on Paymongo and our services, as well as sort of how we empower online businesses in partnership with Zap. So just really giving really a gist of who we are. We've been building tools for online businesses to easily and securely accept payments and run their e-commerce finances since 2019. And now we've been serving for over 15,000 online businesses. So we've been supporting businesses of all sizes for accepting payments, whether you're through getting powered through a website, through an app, or if you're selling through social media. And really, going back to how we were born back in 2019, we were born out of the pain points that we saw when businesses tried to avail of payment services. And so we've laid out a few of them here in this slide. So payment services for merchants can be painful. There have been other payment gateways in the market before we existed, but we realized that a lot of them give merchants quite long negotiations and paperwork to deal with. You also need to be paying for some setup costs that might go up to 30 to 40,000 pesos just to get started. And you might even have to open a bank account with a bank that it might not even be of your choice. And then you'd have to maintain some high maintaining balances in that account as well. So those two problems in itself make your barriers to accepting payments very much high and very much challenging. But not only that, once you actually sign off the papers, pay for the setup fee, open your account, you may experience several customer complaints due to multiple reasons, right? But especially now in the pandemic, everyone's been already accustomed to paying online. And so the standards for customers when they shop online is they want to make sure that the payment experience is very simple. They don't want to go through too many steps just to make a purchase. And so what we've found with other competitors is that they're with a payment experience that is implemented by their service that goes to like 3, 4, 5 steps, this could lead to potentially losses in sales. And apart from that, once you actually collect your payments and receive them, you may encounter troubles of reconciling some of your payments. And in terms of tracking and managing your payments, that's also very important to keep the business going. And lastly, you're experiencing all of these problems in the front end for your customers and also in the back end for reconciling payments. And then you go to your provider and ask for support, and then you might not receive it immediately. So all of these come up to or sum up to a lot of pain points for businesses. And so what Paymongo is able to do in this next slide is that we are able to do a couple of things. So for one, I'll get to more on how we were able to onboard their merchants later. But essentially, we made sure that businesses don't have to think about all of these setup costs, all of these long paperworks, all of these contracts. And really, you can choose any bank of your choice to receive the settlement. And all of this leads to faster time to market goals. I understand now that the imperative to sell online is very much an essential need already for businesses to keep afloat. And so we make sure to be mindful of this. Secondly, we'll be showing a bit later on how you can track and manage payments, but ultimately this leads to an increase in your employee productivity. And also, we provide fast integration and customer support with that as well. And third, with our secure way of accepting payments, we have an advanced machine learning fraud mitigation tool that makes sure that not only can you easily accept payments, but you can also accept them safely. And this would increase your payment acceptance rates and reduce your customer drop-offs upon checkout, which in turn helps you achieve significant cost savings. And lastly, as you expand your payment methods with Paymongo, you also provide customer flexibility, which in turn increases your revenue significantly. So on the next slide, I'd like to also discuss with you some of the products that we are offering. So really the long-term game that we want to do for not just the Philippines, but also for Southeast Asia, is we want to build a complete financial operating system for all Southeast Asian businesses. We started out by really solving the problem of accepting payments, and we've done this through multiple products, which I'll show with you later one by one. And we also support multiple payment methods within these products, such as credit card payments, GCash payments, GrabPay, PayMaya, and coins, over-the-counter payments as well. And we will be launching more payment methods soon, such as online bank transfer, card installment payments as well. And now that as we continue rather to build our payment acceptance tools, we are also working on a disbursements platform, which allows businesses to not just accept payments, but also send payments to multiple banks and e-wallets as well. And lastly, this is more of a long-term goal for us in the future, is to launch a capital solution wherein our businesses can not only grow their revenue through payments and accepting and sending payments, but ultimately they can also receive microloans from Paymongo to grow their business as a whole. So that's more of a long-term game that we're looking to play in the future. So with that, I'd like to jump into each of our products just to explain it more in detail. So as mentioned, our four main payment products would be our links, pages, APIs, and e-commerce plugins. So maybe I'll start first by talking about our payment links. So essentially, if you are a social media seller, if you don't really have the capabilities yet of setting up a website, although these days it's relatively easy to do so, you can actually use our payment links product to create a one-time link and send it to your customer in order to accept credit card, debit card, e-wallet, and over-the-counter payments. So it's very much an easy two-step process to do this. And secondly, we have our pages product. So as mentioned, our links product is a one-time link that you create to collect one transaction. Whereas for our pages solution, this is a reusable link that allows you to collect as many payments as you need. And this can be set whether you want to have a fixed amount for one page, or if you want to have an open field where the customer can be the one to input their amount to pay for checkout. And our third product would be if you are building a custom-built API, rather custom-built website or app from scratch, this is where our APIs would come in. So essentially, when you are building a checkout, you would use Paymongo's APIs to add Visa, MasterCard, GCash, GrabPay, PayMaya into your website or app with only a few lines of code. So this one requires a bit of more developer work than, say, the links and the pages product. Now, for our e-commerce plugins, I think a lot of sellers nowadays have been building websites on Shopify. Definitely our partnership with Zap has shown this. And so with our e-commerce plugins, if you're building a website on Shopify, WooCommerce, Magento, or PrestaShop, you can just integrate Paymongo's plugins to accept payments without having to do any coding or engineering as well. So this is a no-code process to accept payments. All right. So lastly, now that you have sort of the full view of all of the payment products that we provide, whether you are accepting payments on social media, whether you're accepting payments through your Shopify site, or whether you're selling through an app, you have one centralized dashboard to track and manage all of your payments through all of your online e-commerce channels. And so in this dashboard, you can easily view up and coming payouts. You can even issue refunds straight from the dashboard. And you can also export all of your transaction history from each transaction that you receive and from the payouts that we will be sending to your bank account as well. So I could show all of this through a demo. Max, would it be okay if I share my screen for this?
Sure, of course, of course.
All right, thank you. All right, just one sec. Oh, sorry, Max, would it be okay to get permission from the host? All right, thanks so much. Okay, so I'd like to show a few examples. And so one of our top clients is Ansons, and they are based on WooCommerce, right? So their WooCommerce has Paymongo's payment methods integrated. So I'm actually here in their checkout now. And so once you check out here in their website, you can see the breakdown of your order. But once you get to the bottom here, you can already select to pay via credit/debit card, input your card details here, and then proceed to payment. You can also select to pay via GCash, GrabPay, and PayMaya as well. So these are the 4 payment methods that we have powered for Ansons. What you notice here in the credit card checkout process is that the input of the card details are embedded within the customer's website. So I think what's nice to mention about this is a lot of customers want to have an easy and fast payment experience. And so the experience that we have built for WooCommerce merchants is built such that your customers don't have to get redirected anymore to other pages or other websites. They will just be staying on your website just to make sure that they don't drop off or leave your platform. So that's one example if you're a WooCommerce merchant. Now I have another example here of an F&B brand. So I'm sure everyone is familiar with Wildflower. And so with Wildflower, they've integrated Paymongo's Visa and MasterCard payments and GCash payments as well. And so if I select to pay via credit card, I just need to complete my order here. And because Shopify requires all payment gateways to build their own checkout, we've built one here. And so they get redirected to this page. So I just put in my card details here, complete the payment, and then we're all set. So that's for our plugin solutions. Now, one more product that I'd like to show you is our Pages solution. So this is an example of one of our Pages merchants, wherein they opted to have an open field for the customer to input the amount to pay. So you can imagine that a customer would chat with you on Facebook or on Instagram, and they're already prepared to settle the payment. So all you'd have to do is send them the total amount to pay and send them this link. So in this case, it's paymongo.page/i/Esguerra Farms. So they just open that, input the amount to pay here, select, and they could also add any order information here just to make sure that you can track it easily on your dashboard. And then from there, they will be selecting the corresponding payment method that they'd like to pay with. So after that, they just complete the checkout and then they're all set. So now that you've seen how you would be collecting payments through these different solutions, all of them can be easily tracked and managed in this dashboard. So what you're seeing now is what the dashboard looks like upon your sign in. So I'm showing you a demo account, but essentially if you go here to the sidebar, you can go to payments and see all of the transaction records, whether it's through your WooCommerce website, through your Shopify website, or through your Pages solution. All of them will be tracked and managed here. So you can even select to refund the transaction. So I'm just gonna go to one of the payment details here. Sorry about that. All right, so this is an example transaction. If I were to choose to refund, there's a refund button here. And then I could select to do a full refund or a partial refund, select the reason for the return, add an additional note as necessary, and then issue it here. So that's it. That's all you need to do to make a refund through our dashboard. And lastly, if you are to export your payments, you just need to select this button and then filter it based on the date, and then select export here. And what it will do is it will download an Excel file for you so that you can easily track all of your payments, just like any accounting report would provide for you. So that's pretty much how you would track and manage your payments. Maybe one last thing I'd like to show would be how you track your payouts. So right now our payouts are done on a weekly basis. It's done every Wednesday. And so our payout cutoff is going to be indicated here on the top right. And then you can see how much your payout is here, including the breakdown of the transaction fees as well. So that's pretty much how you accept payments. That's how you track and manage your payments. And I think that's about it for my demo. I think I still have a few more slides, Max, if it's okay if I show the rest of it.
Oh, sure, of course.
Okay. Would you like me to screen share, or would you like to jump off from your PDF?
Wait, hold on. Let me share the PDF again.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Would you mind making me host?
Oh, right, of course. There you go.
Thank you kindly, and here we go.
All right. So just jumping off from this slide, I'd like to discuss more about our security features. So in the next slide, sorry, Pat. Thank you. We are PCI DSS level 1 compliant, and this is the highest level of security for any payment processor such as Paymongo to process credit card payments for your customers. We're also 3D Secure enabled, so this is essentially the one-time PIN that you receive, or your customers also would receive when they are going to confirm their transaction. And we are also HTTP strict transport security enforced, which makes sure that all of the data that passes through Paymongo is safely encrypted. All right, so that's pretty much it for the security features. But we just like to add, a bit of a cherry on top. And one thing we'd like to mention here is that for our new partners, together with Zap, would be offering an accelerator program which offers 2 months free of transaction fees for all of the payment solutions that you use with Paymongo. You'd also be provided additional marketing support and exclusive webinars and content in partnership with Zap as well. All right, so that's pretty much it for Paymongo, but I still have a few more slides here just to give a bit of a lay of the land of the e-commerce marketplace. And these are statistics from the latest report from Google and Temasek for 2021. But the digital decade is sort of what they have called the 2020s to 2030 era, or this decade rather. And they're actually projecting that the internet economy of Southeast Asia could reach $1 trillion in GMV. So apart from that, the Philippines is really at the epicenter of this growth. Last year, the internet economy doubled to $17 billion, driven by government initiative and digital adoption due to the pandemic. So we are actually the fastest growing internet economy in Southeast Asia. And that isn't really a coincidence, because on the ground the digital merchants are embracing end-to-end digital efforts, through the use of tools such as Paymongo and Zap and the likes. And really, in the next 5 years, they're projecting that 8 out of 10 merchants will be accepting payments and growing their sales from an online source, so namely e-commerce. And lastly, 9 out of 10 digital merchants are now accepting digital payments. So I think this is really a call to arms across all e-commerce businesses to start digitizing and expanding their payment solutions. So really the time to invest in online payments and building your e-commerce stores is really the best time right now. So that's about it for my presentation. And if anyone needs to reach out, my email is josh@paymongo.com. But yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So Josh, thanks so much for being able to share your expertise with us. Now, honestly, based on what Dean said earlier about merchant pain points, I'm glad you were able to address all of them.
Yeah. So I like that, I mentioned earlier that merchants would ask how easy it is it safe and secure, and you were able to answer all those apprehensions. So thank you for sharing. And then the benefits of Paymongo, I would say, is very interesting because they already give you so much convenience with setting up and then the ease of use. And then I'd also would just like to zero in on the refunding. So earlier Josh showed how the Paymongo's refund process goes. But if you go to the Zap eStore, actually, you can already directly do it at the back end of your website. You don't have to go to the Paymongo dashboard. So it's more, I would say, in the in the in the same platform already. You don't have to go to Paymongo anymore. Just go straight to the Zap eStore backend, and then you'll be able to refund your customers. Yon.
Okay. Oh, also Josh, we do have a few questions. Like on a lighter note, for our e-store merchants, do you have any advice for them as a finance expert?
Right, right. Okay, so this is for e-commerce merchants in general.
Yes.
Okay, sure. I think maybe one thing to consider is really thinking about the flexibility of your customers and their ease of making the payments for the products that you sell. So really different payment methods cater to different use cases, right? So if you are selling maybe small ticket goods or average size ticket goods that range from say 200 pesos to 1,000 to 2,000 pesos, more or less, maybe customers might be paying through e-wallets more frequently, like GCash, GrabPay, and PayMaya. But if you are, let's say, selling refrigerators or appliances that go up to 10,000 pesos, your customers might be more endeared to pay with credit. So that's where maybe credit card payments might come in. So, as we're building more payment or launching with more payment methods, you may expect us to provide more flexible payment methods for your customers. But definitely, that's something to think about. If you're missing out on e-wallets yet, for now, definitely you want to grow it if you have small ticket goods. Whereas for high ticket goods, you definitely want to consider credit card payments.
Okay. Thanks so much. And I think flexible payment options are really what many merchants are looking for. Celine, you agree that many of the merchants you talk to always want a flexible option to be able to run their business?
Yes, but mostly for the convenience of the customers. Because if a merchant is only limited to only a few payment methods, it's already like a turn off for customers. They might not even have a transaction. So the more ways that the customers can pay on the merchant will be beneficial. That's why I also like Paymongo, because if you have a credit card or a debit card even that has the MasterCard or Visa logo, you can already use it. And they also have a dedicated GCash option, which is very, very convenient because I noticed also during this pandemic, more people are more open to using Gcash. So it's also a plus on the merchant's side and a plus also for the customer side.
Okay, okay. Thanks so much. Oh, also, Sir Josh, just a quick question for you before we can segue to our Q&A, because we have a few questions. May I just ask you, what's next for Paymongo? Is there anything exciting upcoming in near future?
Yeah, sure. So glad you asked that, Max. So as mentioned, we really were born out of the problem of or the difficulties of accepting payments for online businesses. But really, that was the start of really our journey. And now we're looking to grow towards other ways of moving money. So essentially, accepting payments is one aspect of the money movement business. But we're soon to launch a disbursement solution, which allows you not only to accept payments, but also to send payments out. And later down the line, as we're able to grow our other money movement offerings, we'd also like to build maybe a capital solution, which allows SMEs to grow their businesses through microloans offered by Paymongo. So those are some of the offerings that we're looking to expand in the next few months and years. But as mentioned, the Philippines is really the start for Paymongo, and hopefully down the line we want to expand their services across Southeast Asia as well.
Okay. I think that's good news for a lot of SMEs. Since here's up, we always talk to a lot of SMBs on a daily basis.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
obviously, hearing new updates must be super exciting for them. Oh, about our wonderful friendship between Zap and Paymongo, I just want to ask, how do how does Paymongo integrate with our very own e-store?
Right. So really the main point of integration between Zap and Paymongo is through Shopify. So basically, businesses who are partnered with Zap would just also need to create a Paymongo account, and from there, the three of us would be helping out the other merchants really just set up their Shopify plugin or Paymongo Shopify plugin through the API keys in their Paymongo dashboard. So really, the setup really just takes about 5 minutes to do.
So I'll just add to something to that, to what Josh said. Um, Actually, there's a lot of ways. So we do have merchants who use the Zap Paymongo account directly, so they don't have to set up anything on the Paymongo side. And we also have merchants who do have their own Paymongo account and then made their own, and we made the website. Sorry, and they make their own website, but they avail also of some of the Zap store plugins or widgets that we also have apart from, which is for delivery purposes. So there's a lot of ways how Paymongo and the Zap store works for the different merchants. And then as for the rate, if it's gonna be a Zap store website that's gonna be made, the rate of the transaction fees would be a bit cheaper on the Paymongo side. So, but if you have your own Paymongo account, you need to be charged. You'll be charged with a normal, I would say normal transaction fees of Paymongo. You may correct me if I'm wrong, Josh.
No, I think that's about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
since we addressed most of the stuff here, I think we actually do have a bunch of questions from our audience. So I think we can get on with a little Q&A section. Now, this question was asked a bit early during the show. This merchant already has Paymongo integration via Zap. Do they have access to the Paymongo dashboard?
Okay, so I'll answer that first. What I just mentioned, um, most merchants don't have access to their own payment dashboard because we do have, most of them would use our account under Zap eStore, but you do have the option to create your own Paymongo account and create your own website and then just install the Zap plugins. So for the dashboard, you don't have access to the dashboard, but what we do is that we do send the weekly report to our merchants and the breakdown of the costs.
Okay. Oh, for Josh, uh, can Paymongo also accept international credit cards?
Yeah, definitely. So we do enable businesses to accept international cards. There's just an additional fixed 1% transaction fee. And this is due to the cross-border fees from the international cardholders issuing bank being processed to a Philippine bank. So that's why there is an additional fee.
Okay. Oh, so for Dean, I'm sure this one's exciting for you. What's the advantage?
Sorry,
Oh,
sorry. I'll just add also to that. For international, the international rate for the Zap e-store merchants who have like customers who use international cards, because we do experience like OFWs ordering for their loved ones here. So international card gamit nila. We don't charge the additional 1% anymore. Like it's already included. So yeah. So if you have OFW families who want to order by the Zappi stores, you can use that. They can use their international cards even if it's not issued locally here. So that's a plus.
that's good to hear, especially for tourists too.
Yeah.
um, Dean, this one is going to be exciting for you. What's the advantage
Okay.
enrolling with Zap's e-store?
Okay, so there are a lot of advantages of enrolling with the Zappi store. So first and foremost, we don't charge commission fees to our merchants. However, you do pay Zap a subscription fee. So it's renewable naman. Second, you do get all the plugins. You'll get the Paymongo integration. You get our, I guess, the ordering feature. So we can have another talk about that so we can, discuss more about it. But essentially, our merchants have the capability to have like a pick up and delivery option for their store. And then we're also integrated with delivery providers. So with a tap of just a button, you can already book a rider already for your customers. So we can maybe let's have another session about that, Max. So people will be interested in that. The third one, it's very easy to sign up with us. You just need to give us your details. We'll make the website for you. You can check if you already like it. When you're happy, you can already launch it. And then last but not least, the perks of being in a Zap e-store is that we do support our merchants. And if there are new seminars like these, for lessons and new trends, we can also set that up for you. So that's it.
Absolutely. I also like how the entire process is like super smooth. Like from ordering to payment all the way to delivery, it's all taken care of.
Yes, correct.
And we also have Paymongo to thank for that, since the payment gateway is absolutely amazing.
Thank you, Matt.
Oh, also, uh, so Josh, can you share what payment method is best?
Right. So that I think would be more for case to case basis, really depending on the products that you sell and the target market that you have. So really, for products that are being sold at a large transaction amount that go maybe from 10,000 and up, your customers might want to pay with credit card more often. Whereas if you have more of small ticket goods ranging from like 200 pesos to let's say 1,000 pesos, this is where GCash, Paymaya, and GrabPay and all these other e-wallets would come in handy. So really based on our data, just maybe more of a fun fact, before the pandemic hit, credit card payments were really our highest payment method in terms of volume. But then really the adoption of e-wallets surged throughout the pandemic. And now we're seeing that for businesses that have small ticket goods or average size ticket goods, mostly their volume is going through GCash. So I guess maybe to sum it up, if you have small to average ticket size goods, that would be GCash as the top one. And then for high ticket size goods, that would be for credit card payments.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, does anyone have any further questions for either for any of our panelists? questions. It's not often that we have an expert right here talking with us, great answers. Like, I think now's the best time to ask if anyone has any. Think of it as a free consultation with an industry expert.
Sige, let's wait for a bit. For Josh na lang, while waiting for the other questions. Can you share more about where the name Paymongo came from? So I'm sure other people are also curious, why is it called Paymongo?
Yeah, sure. So, um, really, I guess the backstory here was, the Mongo seed is a very popular seed or vegetable in Philippines, and really, I think when we were growing up, we had a lot of experiments with, science experiments growing our mango plants, and really they're the fastest to grow. So for us, the mango seed represents fast growth, and that does not only represent fast growth for Paymongo, but also for the businesses that partner with us.
For
Okay.
sure. For sure, because I have merchants. I'll just share like a story. I guess I would say a success story. So I do handle this merchant, and they've been doing manual payments ever since they started. Tagal na sila. They're a pretty old merchant, like early 2000s they started, or 2010s. So when we approached them, every transaction they had was literally manual. So when the pandemic started, we met with them and they liked the convenience. And now, actually, Josh, just so we know, they're using Paymongo credit card and the dedicated GCash Paymongo. And when we see their transactions, it really went up because they were literally doing everything manually, receipt, POS, all that. But with our platform, with the e-store and also the convenience of Paymongo, really, it was so easy. So they did experience like customers canceling, customers having to refund, but because of Shopify's seamless integration with Paymongo, they easily get to fix these refund requests. So super grateful with the ease talaga of Paymongo. And sometimes, yeah, I also use it. There's like it's just so easy to use. Like you just put your name, your card, and then OTP depending on whoever you're using, right? And then super secure. So guys, you can use it. Go to our merchants, try it out.
Yeah, that's a really cool story, Diane. And really happy to hear those stories. I think that's what gives us really a purpose as we continue to grow our business. So that's really great to hear.
Yes. So I don't think we have any more questions, and we've got to answer everything, right, Max?
Yeah. No new ones have come in, so I I think we are good for Q&A. So Josh, Rito, thank you so much for joining us and getting to hear an expert talk and your expertise and seeing the product in action. We are we are super grateful to you, so Josh.
All right, thank you, Max, and thank you, Diane. It's been a pleasure being here. Thanks for having me.
It's been a pleasure as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much also for your time.
Oh, and also before we wrap this up, to our current e-store merchants, we do have a quick promo for you guys. If you would be able to refer a friend, because I'm sure many of you also have friends who are in the food industry. If you were able to successfully refer a friend, you would get 5,000 off on your renewal fee for every successful referral. And I think that about wraps it up actually. And now, to everyone, I'd like to thank you all so much for attending our show. And just know we were going to have more shows in the future. To all those who attended today, I'm going to send you guys a little feedback form just so we can get in touch with you better, so we can learn your needs better, and so we could reach out to you and have a little talk about our wonderful e-store working together with Paymongo. And I would like to invite you all to tune in because next month we're going to have another exciting webinar. We're going to invite you all regarding the new topic. And with that, once again, I am your host Max and Dean, and we will see you all very soon. Thank you all for coming, and we are set.